So how to remain positive when students disengage? It is so vitally important that you do not allow students to control you. And that can be really hard. We're human and we interact with others and we're designed to interact with others. But what I need you to remember is that when your students disengage, and you know this logically, but you might need a reminder more often, is that it doesn't reflect you. Most times this is something that they're bringing in from the outside world. Whether it's as innocent but heartbreaking as a teenage breakup or something devastating going on within the home. We don't know, but oftentimes it has nothing to do with us or what we're doing. So we need to remember that and really stay positive. And so if you're honest with yourself, do you find it hard to stay positive when students disengage, when they check out, when they just really, they're physically there, but mentally, they're off somewhere else? We can do some things to really help this. And so let's see if we can come up with some strategies to help you to stay positive, even when students are disengaging. So why is this so important? Let's start with the why and then we'll get into the how. Staying positive will help students re-engage sooner. Let's say, for example, it is a breakup, and Susie just broke up with little Johnny right before walking into your math class. If you stay positive, if you don't get on their case, if you don't get grouchy, this can show a lot of support to the student. They understand that you're with them and their value is not based on the math that they learn that day or the test score that they produce at the end of the year. That their value is that they're a human and they're going through things. They are going to see that as encouragement. Now, I'm not talking about a fake positive or what people might call a Pollyanna attitude. I'm talking about you are not going to get angry. You are not going to let students dictate your emotions. You're going to stay who you've decided to stay. We've talked about how you need to choose who you're going to be. For me, I talked about being present, being loving, and being encouraging. That's what I try to do for you as the teachers I work with. It's what I try to do with my children at home. It's what I try to do with my husband or any other students that I work with. I always try to be present. If you're talking to me, I try to be only worried about you. I try to be loving and caring. Those two words might be interchanged here depending on who we're talking about. Try to show empathy. And I try to encourage you to change the things you can change to make it more positive. And if we can do those things with our students, we can stay true to ourselves. That's really going to make a big difference. Positive people are just easier to be around. While we can find someone who would complain with us, and that's easy to do, those positive people are easier to be around because they bring us up. They bring us laughter. They bring us smiling. So if you can stay positive when students really need you, that's going to be a huge thing. You don't want to come down on a student just to find out later that something horrible happened in their life last night. That can be really hard. And we know that you come down on students because you have their very best of intentions. And while we have the very best of intentions at heart, we want to help our students do well. We want to hold them accountable. We want to make sure that they don't wake up one day and feel regretful that they've tuned out and got a lesser grade. The reality is, if we can do it with a positive attitude instead of a nagging attitude, it's going to make all the difference for our students. So what are some tools for staying positive? There's so many good resources out there, but these were 3 that I really connected with and wanted to share with. First of all, focus on what you love about education. We could go on and on about the problems right now going on. Whether you live in the US, the UK, or any other nation, there are a lot of issues in education. And there's a lot of negativity that people are concerned about. But there's a lot to love about education. There's things that are just amazing. The relationships you get to have with your students, with your colleagues. That moment a former student comes into your classroom and says thank you. Or they see you in a store and they're, Mrs. Stein, I'm so happy to see you. I just had to tell you I'm doing this in college and I'm doing this now. Those moments are just amazing. Your effects go on forever, and we often don't know that. There's so many other things to love about education. We've learned so much about how the brain works. We can help students in new ways that they had no idea about. We often have, back 100 years ago, you think about it, if a student wasn't keeping up, they were told to leave. They were too much work. Now, we educate everybody. We help everybody reach their potential. And there are so many things about education. The one thing I loved is I got to start fresh every September with a new group. And I could go through that curriculum and think about what worked, what didn't work. But I loved being able to get a fresh start. Fresh starts to me are just amazing. And that was so phenomenal every single September. I would encourage you to find some positive peers and environments. You'll notice, not that I'm saying Facebook is the best place for that, but in my Facebook page, I try very hard to avoid all the political things, all the negative things. I know you sit through union meetings. I know you have tough staff meetings that talk about really hard things. But there's also, and there's a time to conquer those things. There really is. But limit your exposure to it and only expose yourself to things that you're willing to make a change on. Other than that, find positive peers, people who love teaching. Find positive environments. That might not be in your building, but you can find those people online. I look online and I see teachers who are doing wonderful things. I think about that, all the different blog writers that are math educators. Which ones are positive? Read those blog posts. Find some Facebook groups where you can interact with other teachers that are positive and they're focusing on the good things about teaching. These are amazing. The other thing, the last one, I think is the most powerful. If you can find someone else to inspire, maybe it's a high school student that said they want to be a teacher. Help them be the best teacher. And in helping them, you're going to help yourself. Really take a look at how they can be an excellent educator. Or find another student that you can inspire. Put the focus somewhere else. Maybe this is with volunteering. Maybe you have a place with your church or synagogue or other building or other place where you worship. Maybe there's some young people in your life who need an adult just to love on them. When you start looking outside of yourself and you focus on someone else, it's amazing how much more positive you see the world. And there are scientific reasons for this as well. It is quite amazing. So take a look at these tools. Focus on what you love about education. Maybe fill out those blog or the journal entries that I've put for you in the download section. Take a look at people and bloggers and Facebook groups that are positive places for change. And this will help you to stay positive. Avoiding that negativity unless you're in it to help. I'm not saying just close your eyes and pretend none of it's happening. But you can only change so much. So maybe you're going to be involved in this group that's going to change something for your class to get certain students some help. Excellent. Get them that help. That's going to help you feel better. But focusing on every area that needs to be changed, knowing you cannot possibly do all those things, is not going to help you. So I want you to think about what you love about education. Reframe things you don't love about education, find some positive peers and environments, and find someone to inspire. These are amazing ways to stay positive. They're going to have amazing effects on you and your students. So keep that focus positive.